I'm fully vaccinated.
Well, so am I.
Oh, see? Um,
Yeah. It's
I
nice to know you got your shots.
yes, yes. Um,
Yes.
I haven't noticed any. I haven't had any side effects. I didn't really get sick or anything like that. The next day, I did have a powerful craving for tender victuals. I developed an irrational fear of the vacuum cleaner, and I have a sexual attraction to Morris the cat. But other than that, I think things have turned out fine.
That's good to know.
Hmm.
Have you done any Morris dancing?
I don't remember Morris doing much dancing. Mostly he just laid around and was snooty about the food. So,
That's true.
yeah. All right. I think we played out that joke. Now we can get rid of this filter.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
You're not a cat?
No, no, I'm not a cat. Or maybe,
I assure you I'm not a cat.
yeah. Or maybe the crackpots are right, and it does alter your DNA, which
Hmm.
honestly I'm fine with becoming a cat. I mean,
Hold on here. I'm just tracking wherever you go.
look at this. This is what you do all day.
I'd be fine with that to tell you the truth myself, but
Yeah.
yeah.
There we go. All right.
My theory is that cats are actually the ones that control civilization. That they've made us build all this stuff and make all this stuff just so they can live in comfort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. And now I'm Aunt Jemima. Now I'm really making people mad.
Yes, you are.
As Aunt Jemima should. It's not really very. I mean, when you
No,
look
it's
into the
not really
history of that,
secure
no.
either.
Yeah. Anyways, we got a buttload of comments. And one of the buttload of comments we got is after we finished doing our Zoomcast for It Really Doesn't Matter, all of a sudden a bunch of people commented. And we'll get going on those comments.
Well, I guess it mattered then. So,
Apparently,
okay,
yeah.
squeeze out this buttload of comments today.
Yep.
Corey Gomel says, "There goes Jeff again getting the saying wrong. I spent some time across the waves. Waves? Really? You couldn't sing pond?" Jeff wrote the song on a beach, and when I hear this song, it takes me away to a beach setting in my mind. Call it Jeff teleportation, especially if I also just listen to Melting in the Sun. I love this song. I love everything about it. Love his voice, love the music. What else is there? And I find myself agreeing with Wensensen. What's next? Dogs and cats living together? Mass hysteria? And EPJ, what have I told you about recording a podcast when you are off your meds? Take your shiny happy people pills. Quick. This is another very underrated song on this very underrated album. Okay, deep breaths. It really doesn't matter at all.
At all. All right. Well, keep up. I should follow what the lawyer says. That should make everything good, especially for my thyroid.
I'm glad you remembered to put a pill bottle in your hand before you did that.
Well, I do
A
have
lot
to.
otherwise.
Yeah, no, I do have to get drugged up before I talk to you every time, so it gets me through it.
Most people need to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I keep the alcohol industry in business a lot
Hmm.
of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
He needs a shot after being with me.
I like the line across the waves. I think it's I think across the pond would be cliche. So it's nice that he went with something else that wasn't just, oh, here we go again across the pond. I liked it. Karen Godwin Harris. Now, every time I hear this song, I'll be imagining Jeff walking along the beach with his little guitar. We have lots of beaches here. I'll have to keep an eye open for him in case he's in hiding here. I don't know where here is, but you never know. Jeff has the ability to pop up anywhere. He can just get on a plane and go. Although he probably hasn't done that in this last year or so, but soon, hopefully, and maybe he'll
Yep.
stop in St. Louis, or he can stop right over here.
Most people in St. Louis don't stop at the lights.
Yeah.
So
There you go. If you're gonna do a show,
it keeps on going.
yeah, yeah. So if you're gonna do a show, come here to Troy, Illinois. You can come to my little apartment. Don't bring a cease and desist order. Just bring your guitar. You don't have to bring your guitar. I got guitars here, so I'm sure my guitars will be grateful that somebody who can play them will play them for a little bit. Oh, I forgot about Bob. Okay.
And Rob Evans says, one of the highlights of Zoom and one of the few songs sends secret messages where Jeff puts it all together and comes up with a complete song. Ouch.
Mike Hudson, you guys have no sense of humor. I love all of those shows you mentioned. And he puts a smiley winky face just to let us know that he's playing and he's not like, being a jerk. Yeah. I don't know.
That's you whip out Mr. Winky is to make sure everybody knows that you're just kidding.
Yeah.
Or that you're just joshing.
Yeah. My grandma thought I was funny. I was the 3-time humor editor for, they don't make just any rube the 3-time humor editor for a community college newspaper, so I had that.
True.
Yeah.
It's even though that sounds like a position that they just give to give you a position. You got the participation award.
Yeah. It happened because in my news writing class, we had to write something for the school newspaper, and we were given everybody, here's the list of story ideas. What do you want to do? And I saw new parking lot, and I thought that's a boring story that can be made fun, and I wrote it up like the back of a DVD description of the DVD that's in there with here's all the whistles and bells and the extra features and instead of being just there's going to be a parking lot and it will have parking spaces for parking your cars and it will be over in that lot. I made it a fun read, and the newspaper advisor who taught the class said, "Hey, this is pretty good. It's actually pretty funny. Would you like to be the humor editor? Here, we don't have a humor section, but you can do it. We do now if you say okay." So, and at that point, in 1987, I swore off journalisming because I didn't like doing it. But for some reason, something tripped in my head and thought, whatever. 25 years later, sure, why not? I'll give it a whirl. So, and I had fun doing it because I didn't have to interview people. I didn't have to come up with story ideas. I didn't have to track down stories. I could just make stuff up for humorous effect, and there you go. And that's really.
I did something similar, but I did quite a bit something similar when I was doing college newspaper stuff. And usually the people who I spoke about were more than happy to show up at the office and give me their opinion.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Yes. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, no, I remember the security guard coming in, slamming the paper down, going, "What the F is this?" When I basically said all they do is guard the faculty parking and drink their big gulps. And they were not happy.
Yeah. And I remember that. And the teacher said, "Oh, Eric wrote it." And that's when you said, "Right here, that's him, that's Eric." And I'm just, "Wait, what? No." And I don't remember much after that.
Yeah, but after that's why you wrote the whole college voice sucks thing. I get beat up every time Eric says something.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not. No, you're up next.
Yeah. Joseph Burmese says, "Don't think SVB was from Australia. At least two of them, Bill Danoff and Taffy Nivert, were married and famously co-wrote Country Roads with John Denver. In fact, it was their song, and John helped them finish it."
Last week you said, I always point, I don't know which direction I'm pointing, that the Starland vocal band was from Australia.
I think they were from Australia or New Zealand.
Well, I was pretty sure in my head they're from America, but it's an E.L.O. podcast, so I really didn't dwell on it. It's like, no, I think they're from America, or look it up. So I just let it slide. And but Joseph Burmese corrected you, so I just wanted to, make sure that it's sort of a thing like if we get it wrong and we're called out, sure, we're going to be happy to correct it and not.
Actually, I was wrong.
Yep.
I was wrong. says an American pop band. What in the world? Because I got interested in Afternoon Delight recently, and for some reason was reading a whole bunch of stuff on it, and I swear it said that they were an Australian band. Because I was surprised because I was going, didn't John Denver write that song?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was looking at it because I think it was because, yeah, it was one of my usual rabbit holes I was going in, and probably started with John Denver.
Yeah.
And then went to Starlight Vocal Band, and because I was going, didn't John Denver write that thing?
Starland, before we get another correction that they're not Starlight Vocal Band.
Or Land Vocal Band, yes. That might have been why yeah.
I don't have my sound effects nearby when I need them.
No, there's not effects nearby when you need them.
Yeah.
What in the world was I reading then?
I don't know. Did you confuse Ace?
It might have been some other sucky 70s band that I got confused with.
Did you confuse Midnight Oil with our Starland Vocal Band?
God, I would love to hear a combination of that. Burning Afternoon Delight.
That would be an interesting mix. Everybody's still alive, I think, so they can get together. If you guys are out there, can get the word Starland Vocal Band, Midnight Oil, why don't you guys get together, record a Starland Midnight Vocal Burning Band?
Midnight Vocal Band.
Yes, yeah. That'd be great. I'd love to hear that. You guys can do it. Better hurry up, though. Not everybody lives forever. All right, now, whole mess of comments about Ordinary Dream. Mark Jealous, the album's boss track, and for me, the best thing Jeff, as a 21st century man, has done. Really great to hear the story behind the remix. Much older than I realized. And yes, also much nearer the sort of E.L.O. I was looking forward to hearing on this album. Yeah.
And Mike Hudson says, this is a great track. It's the closest to classic E.L.O. on the album. It might even be the best track on the album. The weeping violins in the second verse actually inspired me to do something similar in the second verse of one of my band's songs called Oxygen. Even though I don't actually know anything about playing violin, I do own an inexpensive one, and I'd put some string synth in the song. So I fooled around with the violin until I found the same notes on it and added some real violin to that part of the song. Turned out pretty well. Back to Ordinary Dream, if the album liner notes didn't break down exactly who played what on each track, I'd have probably thought that was one that Ringo played on. The tom fills remind me a lot of Ringo on A Day in the Life. I think Jeff did pretty good drums on this one. As for the fan-made version of the song, it sounds pretty good, but I think he went overboard with the sampled strings. Even in classic E.L.O., you rarely heard constant strings throughout the songs. There was always some breathing room in parts of the songs, and the strings showed up in certain places to spice things up. But this remix is a lot better than all the recent remixes that have shown up since Alone in the Universe was released.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to get into the songs about Alone in the Universe because we're just, three albums away from before we hit that one. But I've heard some of the remixes, and even I think there's even Lewis Clark Jr. added strings to some of the songs, and it's kind of like, even with that, it's still lacking. It's those Lynn drums. They just, Although I will agree with Mike on this, that his drumming, for Ordinary Dream isn't bad. And I hadn't noticed those fills that are sort of like A Day in the Life. Is that all I had to say about that? I think I did. You should go check out his band, though. Oxygen is the song, not the band. Yeah, that should narrow it down. Do a YouTube search for Oxygen and let me know if you find it. You'll probably find that
Love is
E.L.O.
like,
song. What's that?
yeah. Love is like oxygen.
Yeah, you'll find that E.L.O. song instead.
Yes.
Um, he did post a link to one of the E.L.O. sites, and I'll see if I can dig that up and work it into the bonus tracks episode.
Yeah, he did post a link to one of the E.L.O. sites, and since I don't think it was Blue World, it got
Yeah, it
taken
probably
down
did.
rather quickly by some admin.
Yeah, which is why I love Jeff Lynne's Blue World, the Facebook group that Corey Gomel has set up, because you can do that kind of stuff. You can post that kind of stuff, and he's not going to like, nope, this isn't strictly within this narrow band, like Steve Martin in The Jerk, where if he guesses your weight right, you win these prizes in this little section here. If the subject of what you're talking about isn't in this little ELO section, then it's deleted from the Facebook group.
Yep.
But like I say in the commercials, even if it's slightly tangentially, barely related to ELO, you can still post it there at Jeff Lynne's Blue World. So that's why it's the more funner of the ELO Facebook groups. And he gives away stuff. So there's contests and gives away some good ELO stuff. Which, if I knew this was going to come up, I would have gotten some of it. I mean, well,
You got one right behind you there.
I do got, yeah. I get off the wall here. There's, I'm going to need to block this.
E.L.O. spaceship parking back there.
Well, that one is mine. I made that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was his.
There's he gives out these for Hall of Fame, ELO fans. I got one because I do the podcast. Did you ever get one?
No.
Oh, that's not right at all.
It's because I tick them off.
Well, maybe that's true. I think we did even say at the start of the very first episode that Eric likes ELO. He's not the super fan. I'm the super fan. So maybe that's been the holdup of getting one sent into the ELO Hall of Fame. And calendars, there's one right over there. You move this up. I can't seem to. There. You get calendars. You can win all that kind of cool stuff and ties.
Big calendar.
Yeah,
I do have a calendar.
Yeah, poker chips. I got my ELO poker chip in here somewhere. Anyways, he gives away lots of cool ELO unauthorized loot. So Jeff
Plus,
Lynne.
I don't talk as much on there as other people do.
Yeah. So Jeff Lynne's Blue World. Go join that Facebook group. Okay. Did I read Mark C. Wilson?
Not yet.
Mark C. Wilson.
No, yeah, Mark C. Wilson's next.
Mark C. Wilson. Interesting story. I'm thinking he's talking about the guy the remix. So, and it is interesting.
And Jim Kahn says, should have been the first single. Love it.
Bobby agrees too. Yeah. Where am I? Oh, here we are. Corey Gomel. We're together again. Beach Boys. Too shy. Hush, hush, eye to eye. Kajagoogoo. We are on the same wavelength again. All of us. One brain. A hive mind. The Borg Collective. It's so nice to be with you. Gallery. It'd been a long time since we were all on the same page about a song. I must have heard the alt version of Ordinary Dream way back when it first came out. I immediately replaced the original version with the alt version on all my music mixes. It is 70s ELO magic. Now, I love Zoom more than you, but what I don't understand is why Jeff didn't do the alt version himself. What I mean is, I know some things just can't be arranged. It's a reference to Loser Gone Wild from Secret Messages. I lost my place. Oh, here we go.
Some things just can't be arraigned?
Yeah. Oh, that's right. He says arraigned. Well, I guess the lawyer in him slipped out.
He should know about everything can be arraigned.
Yeah, I guess the lawyer slipped out of him when he wrote that. But I'm sure he meant arranged. But clearly some things can. And even though Jeff might have tired of the 70s sound and all it took to create that sound, he could just record one song in LP that harkens back to the heyday. Throw a fan a bone, why don't you? He wouldn't even need to deal with all the shorts, people he hated to deal with. Mr. Arthur Two Sheds Jackson did it with his music software and music library. Funny we have Napster to thank for the alt version, because it's only within the last 5 years, since I've had Spotify, that I have even listened to the original version again. And me too. What I am peeved about, why didn't old Two Sheds do some more songs, add that bombastic orchestration, not just to more Zoom songs, but also to at least to the last two LPs, Alone in the Universe and From Out of Nowhere. Slacker. Also, this episode of the podcast might just probably be your best ever. Oh, well, thank you very much. Not because we agree, not because of the shout out to me, but because of the great get. How amazing is it that to have the man responsible for the alt version explain how and why he did it? Fan-bloody-tastic. Even if he did sound a little like Dieter of Sprockets. Saturday Night Live. By the way, what struck me first about the song, Weekend by Two Sheds, is the turn to stone-like guitars at the very beginning of the song. Yeah, we're not done yet. Yeah, we are done. Okay. Yeah, it'd be nice if just at least one song, Jeff. Do something that sounds like E.L.O. and not like solo Jeff Lynne. Yeah, I thought it was great that Helig, hopefully I'm remembering the name right, when I wrote him and found him and said, we do an E.L.O. podcast. Would you mind? We're about to do Ordinary Dream. Would you mind explaining it? And I thought, oh, well, that's great. He recorded it. He sent it to me. I loved it. That, I'd love to have more of that. The thing is, I'm kind of skittish about asking. Bevan seems like, if you ask him for an interview, he'll be like, yeah, sure.
Right.
No, Hugh is gone. The other guy. Melvin Gale? Yes, Melvin is still alive. I mix up the cello players all the time. I'd love to interview surviving members of E.L.O., but I'm kind of skittish about that because I know how litigious the RIAA can be, and if somehow it filters back, hey, these guys are using our music and we're not getting a dime out of this. So even if I hide behind fair use. So, but
Well, you're using Spotify for some of the music, so they're literally maybe getting a dime.
Well,
out of every 200, 400, 500 listens for the song.
I don't know if Spotify is paying them that much for, yeah. Yeah, I know. And in my head, I'm thinking, at this point, people know. People in charge have got to know. I mean, if not just because of it's on YouTube, and every time I post a new episode, I get that copyright warning. Hey, somebody owns this. You can use it, but any money that comes from this video goes to, the people who own the copyright. You're not going to make anything off of this. Of course, we really don't get enough views to warrant any, here's a check.
On YouTube,
because,
what we're doing is YouTube's already set up for this. So unless the artist said specifically they don't want their song played, it basically says, hey, this artist, this belongs to somebody else. They're going to get paid for it. So because they've given YouTube and Google a license to allow anybody to use it on there.
Yeah.
So that's different than podcasting. Podcasting is a completely different license that supposedly you're supposed to have, but there's a gray area in there for fair use, which that gray area turns rather black and red and bloody the moment that somebody who has actual good lawyers shows up and says, you know what, you can't do this.
Yeah.
And even though that legally probably you can, it's going to cost a lot more money for me to prove, for you or I to prove that you can, than it's worth.
Yeah. And we don't have a lawyer, and we can't afford a lawyer. We have Corey Gomel, and he's, from what I've read, from what I've noticed, he's a pretty real. He's ranked as one of the really good lawyers there in Texas, but he doesn't do copyright law. And I'm sure
Yeah.
he has
Completely
friends that he could reference to, but even the friends that he referenced to, I'm sure we're going to have to shell out some money. I don't think they're going to do it out of the goodness of their heart. So that's why I'm like, I would really love to have, the ELO members on, even the dead ones, if we can arrange some sort of spooky spirits to
Yeah, around
chime in.
Halloween we could light the candles, turn the lights down low,
Hmm.
uh, and virtually hold hands.
You're starting to get to me, Eric.
That's why when I do seances, I usually make sure it's boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl.
Right. So yeah, but there are people who have no fear. The um God, I can't remember their name. Anyways, they do a podcast called WKRP-cast, and they will play snippets of songs, and they'll go deep into what those songs are about. And they bring on people and they play clips from the show, and they have had interviews from people who've worked on the show and starred on the show. So far, they haven't had regular cast members, um, and they hide behind fair use. So they're braver than me. Maybe they know something I don't, or maybe just with TV shows, they're not quite as you know so
It's different. It is.
anxious to just.
It is different.
Yeah, they're not
Uh,
so anxious to just shut that down right now as they do with music. Because if we did a Beatles podcast, the first
oh,
episode would have been gone in a fraction of a nanosecond. It would have tripped off all kinds of things and boop, never existed.
no, I think by this particular point in time, since we're basically only 2 full albums away
Yeah, and a bunch of
from the
bonus
end
tracks.
of our entire project,
Yeah, we're about
I
a year away, I think, at this point.
yeah, unless some new stuff comes out later this year.
Yeah,
So I am pretty sure that at least some members of the band are quite aware of what we do.
yeah,
And I think they probably just don't care.
yeah,
As, as long as we're doing something that actually promotes them,
yeah,
I don't think that they're too worried about the couple cents that they're not getting for playing a snippet of a song, because we're not just doing a podcast where we're playing their entire song and then
yeah,
saying, "Give us money."
yeah. No, we're just
So
playing part of the song and saying, "Give us money." Um, yeah, I should remember the epiphany that I had in my mid-30s. Um, the 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 catastrophes that my brain dreams up never actually happen. So
well, this was more of a realistic thing that could have happened very early on in the podcast.
yeah.
And but the thing is that by the amount of downloads that we've had
Hmm.
and everything, it's pretty much, I think, um, whoever, I mean, if Jeff Lynne knows about it or anything like that, it's probably, oh, these two guys are doing this.
That's
It's
nice
not
of
hurting
them.
me whatsoever, and
Yeah,
so I'm not going to throw a big fit about it
yeah,
because they're not
yeah,
stealing my stuff.
yeah.
So,
Well, the only people that shut us down for a couple of weeks was the people in Czechoslovakia who, I guess, owned the rights to a snippet of a song that I used, but that was straightened out. So, all right. Who's up next? Oh, Eric is. Oh, good. It's the last comment because I know this one's gone on long.
exactly.
Hmm.
Stephen St. John says, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." This John Cleese clip at the end had me laughing for a good minute, if not two. I've not laughed that long in a while.
Good.
That was absolutely great. Oh, and your podcast was top notch too. That pretty much goes without saying these days. You have come such a long way since your initial podcasts and have been very polished and professional sounding for a while now. Whether I agree or disagree with your opinion of a particular song, it is always a pleasure to listen to you.
Oh,
Well, polished and professional. However, there's going to be a few of them where I started figuring out how to use this stupid microphone.
Yeah, probably
Come
not.
up soon.
Yeah, probably not too much longer. We're gonna hit the songs in Zoom where he got a new microphone, and there are a few episodes that sound like he's recording them in a parked car with the windows rolled up. So, but we worked through that. Much like the distortion in the early episodes, we figured out the mess and fixed it.
Yeah, we it took a little bit of working through and also understanding some of what I'm hearing on my side is not actually what's getting recorded either. I
Yeah,
hear a bunch more racket and everything, which I was panicking about and doing settings and everything that yeah, that doesn't really come through either here or on the podcast. So
yeah, or the Zoomcast. It sounds fine on the Zoomcasts,
right.
but when the actual recording came through, it didn't sound great. But suffer through it. It goes away.
Yep. Maybe one or two episodes and it goes away.
It was yeah, a little somewhere around that, a little bit more, but yeah, yeah. Yeah, thank you. Um, again, I was like, oh, thank you. um, yeah, sometimes I'll listen to those early episodes, and even though at the time I thought, well, this sounds perfectly fine, it's kind of like, and after all the years that I've done recording and podcasting and editing sound and all that kind of stuff, you know, at, by 2018, it was, I think I got a pretty good idea of how things go. But again, like everything, as you keep doing it, you keep getting better and better and better. I guess until you hit your 70s, then you kind of hit this rut where everything sounds the same.
Yeah, and then you become Don Imus.
What, you mean dead?
And you manage to destroy your entire career.
Yeah, fortunately, I don't think we'd go into that kind of Imus area
Yes.
of, hey, let me see how many people I can offend today. I'm aiming for the whole world. Let's see what happens.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Try and keep the offending low, but
Exactly.
yeah.
Just try to keep it to those who really, really like jungle.
Chunkle?
Jungle.
Oh, jungle. Yes. Or bring this back. Okay. All right.
Uh, taking
Okay.
it back.
Yeah. All right.
I think with
Um,
that, Mima, that means I think we are
yeah. Yeah. I think we're done here.